We're just setting things up. I see Sam in the chat. Thank you for saying hello. Do submit your questions live. We are live streaming today, guys. This is pretty important. Can't really ignore the news cycle because, well, you know, you ignore the price of current cryptocurrencies, and ignore what's going on with crypto right now, and you run the risk of getting wrecked. Actually, a lot more realistic that you're going to get wrecked if you ignore stuff right now. So do share the live stream. Definitely appreciate that. B. Baker, I see you in the chat as well. Thank you so much. Go ahead and smash like. Share the live stream while we're live. It's so much more impactful when we have people in here asking questions live. Hey, thank you for setting those notifications on as well. If you're not subscribed, if you're just lurking, hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live next. Dudes, guys, gals. Hey, oh my gosh, yeah. It's rough today. It's rough. I'm not even gonna lie. Guys, welcome back to the Mind Your Biz live stream. You're watching Mind Your Biz. My name is Seth, and we got to talk about UST, Luna. We got to talk about what's going on in the markets right now. I've got a little see-through cap going on here. That's kind of weird. Makes me look like my head's chopped off. But you know what? I'm taking a pretty close haircut. It's a metaphor for the markets right now, so, I mean, pretty appropriate. But I think I could probably handle a slightly closer shave. That would be a closer metaphor, probably. Shave off some of that stubble, get rid of what's left over. Appreciate you guys being here live. Appreciate you hitting that like. I just want to remind you that as we go over some of this stuff, that none of this is meant to be any kind of like investigative journalism. I'm not an investigative journalist, but I did take a look at a couple of things that help us figure out kind of what's going on. I'm also not a financial advisor. I'm not, and nobody in this audience has paid me to advise you, so that's not the nature of our relationship. Just, I have to throw that out there, guys. It's part of the game. Thanks for understanding. That's just what I have to do. Do I have to red screen you? I mean, I'm going to red screen you too. I'm sorry for that. Like, I know this last couple of days we've already been seeing a lot of red, but here goes. I'm not giving you advice. And again, you haven't paid me for advice, so whatever. Let's leave that alone for now. But back to some of our funny stuff right here. Dig Deep Miners in the chat saying, hey, brother. Chris Freeman is here as well. Thanks for your comments, guys. Appreciate that. I mean, the internet is relentless. Crypto Twitter is awesome, by the way. This is why I can't believe that website is free. I can't believe that Twitter's free. Like, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Every single time I log in, I'm like, bro, the memes are nonstop, and some of the analyses are just so spot on. That's how I was able to do a little bit of tracking down of the background, both on the Luna UST peg. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you've been taking a look at our portfolios. We barely have Luna listed in our portfolio, and we don't talk about it in depth, right? We talk about IBC. We talk about the Cosmos and Tendermint consensus protocol. We talk about the inter-blockchain communication protocol, which is something that's important. I think it is important technology, but we really do try to keep it about the tech, right? And we do. I try to like really, really heavily disclaim or manage expectations when it comes to like the coin performance, because we've been through this together already. There we go. I repeated that because we've repeated this shared experience together, right? Golden Wolf is asking live. Yeah, live. Taking your comments right now, guys. We're going to go over a couple of things that I found, and definitely appreciate you being here live. Appreciate you sharing this link and spreading the message. We're going to go over some things that, again, at the risk of somebody claiming that this is, defamatory or defamation, it's not. Everything we're going to look at is pretty much just on the record. Okay, so B Baker goes to the biggest question. The biggest possible question. We've got some data points, guys. We can just take a look at some of the stuff that's out there, and then I don't want to. To indemnify myself, so dumb, man. Our hands are always so tied. I can throw some stuff out there, repeat what you say, but we got to ask it as a question, right? We can't ever, like, in these explorations about what really happened. Unfortunately, the more certainty you give off when you say something like that, come to a conclusion, the more likely it is that somebody has the legal grounds to sue you. It's so dumb. It's so dumb, even if you're just pointing at the facts. So Kevin Hawthorne's in the chat as well. Hey, guys, I'm going to very, very soon. Kevin, I really appreciate it. Kevin sent me some media appearances that he's had in Lakeland, Florida. And I think before I talk about some of the stuff that's happening, man, I'm getting misty-eyed here. I really appreciate that Kevin has done that. I really appreciate that Kevin has shared a bit of what he does in Lakeland, Florida, with me in the Citrus Heights area. He went out of his way to forward some media appearances, and I love what he's done for his community. This matters, guys. The human element matters. When the prices are down, like, bro, literally all we have is each other. That's literally it, right? Like, our crypto portfolios are being slashed. We have each other. That's what we get, right? Like, so we got to take care of each other. And I really appreciate that Kevin does that in his community. So thanks for sending those over. I'll get to those and showcase those in a future video, probably future live stream. Today, I think we're a little tight on time. But B Baker says, just say, in my opinion. That's great, man. I'm also going to frame some questions here as well. So repeating what B Baker is putting in the chat thread right now, his question, I think this is a prescient question. Did BlackRock pay DoKwon Luna to wreck the market? That's actually a very, very, not such a loaded question. It's actually a very, very tightly packed question. There's a lot in there. And it's not like, oh, okay, it's designed to make you think a certain thing. No. As far as paying Luna, I'm going to take that question and tweak it a little bit. Is the protocol itself for UST keeping its peg, is it designed in such a way that Luna is itself the incentive to destabilize the peg? Because, yeah, unfortunately, that is kind of a problem, right? We're going to go over that a bit more in depth here, guys. Let me jump out of the way. I've just been talking head here the whole time. So we got this image, which is just phenomenal. I didn't link to that, but I think it's all over Twitter, guys. You can find this stuff everywhere, all over Twitter. It's just hilarious, right? This may well be part of what brings us this particular joyride, right? For this particular bull market crashing back down. We also saw very clearly that NFTs have this massively inflated valuation this time around. And we also saw, before we got to the peak of the Bitcoin price of last year, we saw a project called Bitclout. And that's going to be relevant just a minute here, because DoKwon is part of that group of friends, that cabal of people that launched Bitclout last year. And if you remember it, anytime you heard me talk about it, I spoke about it negatively because it seemed like it was an obvious train wreck that was about to happen with Bitclout. Well, it did, right? Nobody really talks about Bitclout anymore. It had a bunch of problems, but we should have paid closer attention to who was the conductor on that train, right? For that train wreck over at Bitclout, who was part of that group. Well, this is one of those guys. So it's there. Fear and Greed Index. Just a quick update there. We're at a current score of 12. I don't even know how that's possible, guys. How in what universe did people get more bullish between yesterday and today? But our score actually went up over the last couple of days. We had a score of 10 yesterday and a score of 12 today. What are they putting in the water out there? Like, who's getting more bullish? Is it like the inverse incentive? Are people finally starting to flip their color vision of like turning green to red? So it's like, oh, red candles, so buy, right? Like, I mean, and I made jokes about that, but I don't get it, man. I don't get it. How could you be bullish after yesterday? Maybe it's because you see Bitcoin on sale. Yeah, Bitcoin on sale kind of has me, I've got mixed feelings about that, guys. We've looked at our chart. We're only using chopsticks, but we looked at the chart and we talked about the realities of what it costs to mine one full Bitcoin. And I'm staying consistent with that story. I wasn't even planning on going live today. I will be on the BitBoy around the blockchain segment a little bit later on today. So I'm literally jumping from this live stream over to there because it's just that important, guys. It's that timely. We got to talk about some of the reasons here, and I'll bring some of this over to that live stream as well. But I wanted to cover this stuff and just bring it direct to you without it being the round robin style. Just answer your questions. We've got a very intimate community here, so I can get to your questions and I can get to the live chat much easier than on BitBoy's channel or when I'm visiting Crypto Wendio's channel. So yeah, I wanted to get to this here. But yeah, Fear and Greed Index, how? I don't get it. I don't understand. Maybe there are some people who are just emboldened by what they see on the price. But our current chopstick indicator, accurate as it is, it's done a pretty good job on this most recent trend. We're not doing advanced technical analysis. That's always the disclaimer there. But our current chopstick indicator shows us that we're actually, we broke down outside of this channel, this downward range. And I mean, I still actually believe that we're going to bounce down at approximately the same rate. We might have increased the rate, the angle of incidence, right? The downward angle. Hey, we got the poor investor in the chat as well. How are your chia bags, brother? How are they? I mean, I'm just saying, when the markets are down, I'm going to call this out to the poor investor. When the markets are down, I'm actually considering, once we find full bottom support, I'm actually considering a position in Chia, but not yet. It's not quite time yet, right? Like, we got a little bit more air to let out of the tires before I do that. So anyway, just so you know, interesting call out there. But Bitcoin chart, guys, the way we've been doing it, the 1-day chart here, very, very simple chart. We're not doing anything fancy, not using complex indicators, just with the MACD here. We just see that, yeah, really sharp downturn with this histogram pulling farther down. Right, it's pulling farther down. And there's not really a solid indication that we're going to see a convergence event there on the 2 moving averages. Right? Like, and I called it before when we were getting close to it. We didn't hit a convergence, and then we dropped down farther. The poor investor is giving some targets for Chia in the chat. He's saying $15, I'm buying. And there you have it. Poor investor is $15 Chia, and he's all in. That's all you got to do is sell to him at $15. It'll buy your Chia all day. It's awesome, man. So, but on our Bitcoin though, we've got this. I don't know. I think this is the most solid indicator for where the market's headed. And we stretched this range down, right? Our yellow, green, and then our red ranges there, zooming way out, which is why we have these giant boxes of ranges here. If you recall, if you haven't been watching the show for a very long time, if you recall, this is how we kind of determine, is this DCA range or do we kind of slow down, right? Like, just like on a stoplight, right? Green means go, yellow means either slow down, or if you're really, really risky, really, really brave, yellow means go faster, right? So that may be the thing for you. And then red definitely means stop. And then we've got that hyperviolet up here, right? We got, what's more red than red? It's hyperviolet. So we got that right there. We only dipped into that category or wicked up into that category, and then, it's not even a wick, but when you zoom out, it almost, looks like more of a blip when you have that long view. It looks like wicking up into that territory almost, right? Just these few peaks, little double top there, little top right there, and then pulling back in. Well, let's take a look at that chart, right? So in 2021, May of 2021, so we're coming up to, see, April, let's go to a year ago. Yep. Almost a year ago to the day. There we go. Is the, when we definitely broke down from that first range. Well, how does that correlate to all of this other stuff? Well, it's related to the UST breakdown. It's related to the Luna breakdown. And I'm going to give you proof. Okay. I'm going to give you some reasons to believe that maybe it's not a conspiracy, but maybe it's all related. So yeah, all of the major outlets, right, got the Daily Hodl talking about how Luna collapses to 69 cents as Terra founder DoKwon outlines plan to rebuild. Well, I know somebody who was able to scalp a $4 sale. They claim to have picked some up at about $1.60 and then sold it for $4. But realistically, these are people who I talk to on a regular basis who've also told me, like, as it was dipping down below, coming down from the $80, they were like, oh my gosh, $40 Luna is a steal. I'm loading up my bags at $40. And then they're bragging to me about selling $4 because they supposedly bought a bunch at $1.60. I'm like, bro, no, what you mean is you took a massive L on those underwater $40 bags that you loaded up. But then you also bought some. At $1.60. So, I mean, what is your net profit right now? I suspect it's not very good. Just throwing that out here, guys. This is not a good time to try to flex. And I'm not trying to flex on anybody who is hurting or tell anybody who's hurting right now from this breakdown of Luna or UST, whatever, or like I told you so or something. I didn't tell you so. I didn't warn you about this stuff. We didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about the risks of UST at all on Mind Your Biz. We didn't investigate it very much. UST is a stablecoin that I have never touched, not even once. I don't have a single UST. So, and I haven't looked closely at it. So I apologize for that. I almost feel like, a bit like a weight of conscience right now that we didn't talk about this sooner, because now we know some people who are, we're talking very loudly about it, or we're talking very loudly about it and sounding the warning earlier. So I feel bad. We're just doing a postmortem now because clearly Luna and UST, dead. No pulse. Yeah. Pulse chain is a different topic. We'll get back to that soon. The snapshot's coming up soon. If you are considering right-sizing your portfolio on Ethereum to get ready for the Pulse chain snapshot, they're going to airdrop you a bunch of ERC20s. We don't know what that's going to do to the value of those ERC20s. But the point is that it is going to be a big airdrop. And in a sea of red, when all of their assets right now, it's obvious, are going red, multiple red candle days, could be some relief, maybe, possibly. I don't know, guys. I'm not gonna shill anything to you right now. I'm just gonna tell you I am right sizing my portfolio, my Ethereum based portfolio, and I'm right sizing it with that in mind. Kind of rearranging stuff to prepare for that snapshot and hopefully keep some of that intact. So it's a Hail Mary, real talk. It's just a Hail Mary on my part. So they're talking about it everywhere. It's finally coming out now, right? But DoKwon says the price stabilization mechanism is absorbing UST supply, over 10% of the total supply, but the cost of absorbing so much stablecoins at the same time has stretched out the on-chain swap spread to 40%, and Luna price has diminished dramatically, absorbing the ARBs. Before anything else, or the arbitrage. Before anything else, the only path forward will be to absorb the stablecoin supply that wants to exit before UST can start to repeg. There's no way around it. So it's kind of like, the Fed increasing interest rates now, right, in order to hopefully diminish the effects of inflation with the US dollar. This is the problem of revolving debt, right, is that it really is just an arbitrage system. When you have revolving debt, circulating debt, as opposed to any kind of a hard backing for currency, I mean, how are you creating value? You're borrowing, and you're to use an old turn of phrase, right? You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're just borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and then you're borrowing against the borrowing, and you're leveraging your borrowed borrowings in order to borrow some more from other people who are borrowing. But then you can buy what they've borrowed and leverage that. I mean, it's crazy, right? When you look at it, it's like a giant Rube Goldberg machine. But then ultimately, it never gets enough energy to come back around to feed itself again, unless you're able to somehow, right, inject new capital into it. B. Baker says, sounds sort of like a Ponzi. There's a strong possibility that there will be investigations at the end of all this, and that the way that the UST stablecoin is propped up, that it might be labeled a Ponzi by the SEC. We'll see. I mean, it's a question of one judge's opinion, right? One judge's decision about whether or not they believe that this is propped up as a Ponzi because of the work of other people and because of the way that that things are piled on and then borrowed from. So anyway, those are DoKwon's words right there. Great thread. Or before we get into any of the articles, some of the meat and potatoes here, great stuff from a guy named I don't know if it's Hjalmar or if it's Hjalmar. So I apologize, guys. I'm flying blind here. I'm trying to find stuff that is descriptive enough of the problem and that helps us understand it well enough. But some of these people, I don't know. I don't follow them. But this guy, so Algod Training says, edited. Who wants to take a $1 million bet that Luna will be lower price in 1 year than now, back on March 13th. And then goes ahead and just tags DoKwon and tags some other people. And DoKwon takes it, right? He's like, takes the bait. Cool, I'm in. Furthermore, happy to do the bet where UST is not depegged same time next year. I shall even give you 2-to-1 odds. And this guy, Hjalmar, right, or Hjalmar, says, does your confidence in UST extend beyond 1 year? If you still offer 2-to-1 odds, I would be happy to bet you $4 million, preferably in BTC and Pax Gold, against UST's longer-term viability. Specifically, I would bet that within 6 years from now, more than 10 billion UST will have been traded below 90 cents USD. Or free markets for UST will no longer exist, or UST will be backed by USD. In other words, I'm betting that UST will depeg, vanish, or give up on decentralization. Wow. So that was March 18th. And what did this guy know that other people maybe needed to learn? I mean, certainly I needed to look closer into it. I just didn't get any exposure. I didn't have any skin in the game. And so I didn't bother to look any closer into it. The stables that I've ever touched, I've tried to do some homework on, right? But UST is not one of them. So yeah, Fighting words, but what did he know that other people needed to learn? Justice Canfield is asking, which stablecoins do you trust that is, 1, not centralized, ability to freeze coins, 2, safe against bank runs, 3, scalable? Well, let's talk a little bit about that. USDC, and I don't want to steal any thunder for today's show over on BitBoys around the blockchain with Wendy O and with the altcoin daily brothers. Because I might be holding back a little bit here. I don't mean to, but it's just there's a lot to cover today, guys, and I'm still trying to organize my thoughts a little bit. This is not like I'm doing long form content because it's easier to talk through this stuff than to try to like make it really highly edited. So, but that's a great question. As far as centralization goes, Tether, when there was an attack on not the wormhole bridge, but on the Poly Finance bridge, Tether actually shut down the stolen funds from that attacker faster than Circle did with USDC, proving they're both centralized, right? They have administrative control over all the supply. USDT and USDC both can shut down your wallet. They can freeze your coins. That's just built into their smart contract. This is also just understood, right? Like I'm not pretending like I personally audited the smart contracts to check for any of the read-write functions or any of the mint or burn functions. But this is just known, right? And it's public knowledge, and they admit to it. They talk about it as a feature, right? They say like, hey, if authorities contact us, we can shut down your wallet, and people think this is good, right? So that's USDT, that's USDC. DAI, stablecoin by Maker, the ticker symbol DAI. It uses a stable of currencies and various other products to back it up, including some USDC, but they hold a treasury of USDC that backs up the value of DAI, stablecoin. But it is not censorable in the same way. They will not shut down your transactions, but there's a bit of a problem, right? Like there's a trickle-down problem in that if USDC ever becomes convinced that too much DAI has been used by a wallet address that they disagree with, that Circle of Crypto disagrees with, or that the center, the organization that has been created, or the group that's been created by Circle Crypto and by Coinbase Ventures together in order to govern USDC, if they ever decide like, oh, we see there's a wallet address that's using Maker DAI in a way that we disagree with, they might be able to shut down the treasury wallet that DAI uses, right? Like they could just say like, oh yeah, you've got like $1 billion or $2 billion worth of our coins, and we disagree with your policies, so we're shutting you down. Could happen, right? So there's a risk there too, unfortunately. But of those three that have multiple $1 billion worth of liquidity, I trust DAI the most. I'll put it that way. As far as it being safe against bank runs, it's done very admirably because of the amount of backing that it has. I believe it's over collateralized. And then there's one other coin that I'm pretty excited about seeing get more traction, and that's the Liquidity protocol. And that is ticker symbol LUSD. The Liquidity protocol has not had a bank run yet. It's an over collateralized algo stablecoin, but it's over collateralized with a liquidation mechanism built in. So if your collateral doesn't match what you like, rather their liquidation protocol is not just an internal arbitrage mechanism to help them print more stable coins, right? And unfortunately, that's what UST does. Is UST's liquidation protocol just lets them mint more at the end of the day. Like it lets them buy back their own collateral cheaper and then mint more. Like rather liquidate people. It's actually kind of crazy. It's actually kind of crazy, and it makes it seem like more like a Ponzi than even just describing that it's an over collateralized stablecoin. No, it's more complicated than that. So let's talk a little more about that. So this is the top of this article. I'm actually going to read through this, guys. I don't often do this, but giving credit where it's due. It is Hjalmar. Hjalmar Peters is this person's full name. Hjalmar Peters, their Medium blog, and they did an article about why they're betting against TerraUSD. I don't often do this, but I think it's that important and it's that well written that I can't add a whole lot to it except for color commentary. So let me read through this without shortening it, without truncating it. I think this is going to help you guys get a much clearer idea, because I'm finding this to be the most illuminating article on the topic. So yeah, just doing that. Rodney Fury, what's the mindset of a person that sells an $87 asset for $1? I'd just take a complete loss. You're going to write it off either way, I guess, right? I don't know. All this volume at $1, because yeah, you're selling it back to Luna. You're selling it back to Terra, rather. It's kind of crazy at this point. Yeah, you're definitely selling it back to DoKwon. So great graphic here, talking about taking a little time bomb inside this donkey. It's crapping out the coins, the UST coins, but taking people's perfectly good money. This, by the way, was one of the problems with Bitclout. Let me get an informal poll from you in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you want me to talk a little bit more about some of the background here of the associates of DoKwon's that created Bitclout. Because if you remember, Bitclout had some problems here as well. I can do that. If you guys want, tell me in the comments section. Otherwise, I'm going to read through this. I'll check in on your comments as we go. But it says stablecoins are cryptocurrencies whose market price is supposed to always be close to the price of a real world currency, such as USD. In order to keep the price pegged, all stablecoins rely on arbitrage incentives that create demand, pushing up the price when the price is below the peg and when the price is above the peg. Fiat-backed stablecoins such as USDC or USDT provide these incentives by promising to redeem issued tokens or issued coins one-to-one for real fiat USD. If fiat-backed stablecoins trade, for example, at 99 cents, arbitrageurs can make a profit buying at 99 cents and redeeming at $1. In order to be able to keep their promise at all times, fiat-backed stablecoins claim to hold 1 USD in their reserves for every coin they issue. I'm just going to say also, I have some doubts about USDC in that regard. I know that there's questions about whether or not USDT has full backing, one-to-one with dollars. USDC continues to swear up and down. Circle, Center, and Coinbase, they swear up and down that they're backed one-to-one. But I have my doubts, and I'll probably be talking about that on BitBoy's show, so tune into that later on today. I realize you may not be a fan. You may not normally tune in, but I think you should. Ben and his team, they're going to be sticking around during the bear market. Same with Wendy, same with Altcoin Daily. It's going to be a great, lively conversation. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. But it says, due to this mechanism, the peg of fiat-backed stablecoin stands and falls with the credibility of its redemption promise. That is, mainly the perceived integrity of its reserves. TerraUSD is a stablecoin pegged to USD, but not backed by USD. Nevertheless, there's a redemption promise similar to that of fiat-backed stablecoins. Namely, the Terra protocol allows every 1 UST it issued to be redeemed for $1 worth of Terra's other native token, Luna. So, if, for example, Rodney Fury jumps in and says that he has doubts about DAI and regular USD. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. Regular USD is on the chopping block too, right? It's anywhere between 8 to 18% worth less than it was this time last year. So, kind of crazy. I mean, the Fed has admitted it. Oh, 8.5% inflation. 8.5%? You sure? I think when we go to the gas station, it's a little bit more than that. The Deadwood is in the chat. How are you, brother? Thanks for saying hello. We are live. Bring your questions. Please do in your comments, guys. Love it. Here for it. But the Terra protocol allows 1 UST to be redeemed for 1 USD worth of Luna. So if it trades at 99 cents, arbitrageurs can profit by buying 1 UST for 99 cents, redeeming the bought UST for 1 USD worth of Luna. If it were to trade, for example, at $1, that would be, or $100, that would be 0.01 Luna, selling the redeemed Luna for 1 USD. That is, of course, also taking for granted that the fees, the way that they sell them, that the platform fees don't eat up that difference, right? Same with the network fees, right, of Terra itself, right, which they likely wouldn't, but at the right size. Yeah. Chris Freeman says USD is literally a promise to pay. It's debt. Yeah, I know, right? It's a house of cards, right? It's turtles all the way down to the ground. Like they're all just walking on top of each other. Like what happens when one of them sneezes? We're in trouble, right? Like it is kind of crazy. It really is. It's kind of crazy. Like we're seeing a massive depegging of value across all fiat currencies. So yeah, but I digress. Let's talk about the specifics of this stuff. Raven Boy Crypto's in the chat. Good to see you here, man. But let's talk about the stable coins, because they at least have algorithms and code that we can point to, or systems that we can point to understand within that framework. With USD, right? They say, oh, it's backed by the full faith. And what is it? What is it? By the full faith of the U.S. government. Oh my gosh, hold on. Gotta. Color temperature issue thing going on in there with that light. But yeah, I mean, I get it, right? It's what do they call it? The full faith, the full faith of the U.S. government, the full faith and there's a phrase, and I'm missing it here, but it's like, yeah, when the government starts acting in bad faith, obviously, like they've said it themselves, the U.S. dollar loses even that value, right? So, yeah. Full faith and credit of the U.S. Thank you. Which in both cases, it's like, dude, you're a godless, faithless group of people that run this country now. So I don't know what that means when you tell us it's got your full faith. And credit, we've been told multiple times that your credit is being downranked across the world. So what does that even mean, right? Like, credit against what? Borrowing what? From whom? Do we trust them? Yeah. There you go. We're the creditor. Yeah, from your people. It's hilarious. Full faith and credit, man. Thank you guys so much. My memory was not serving me there. Really appreciate the save there, guys. It's crazy. Yeah, B. Baker, right? The full faith and credit of the U.S. government is the hokey phrase. It totally is. It's kind of like, I mean, I can't trash talk the potatoes too much. Here we go. Let me just type it out, because you should get it trending everywhere you can. And I can't in good faith call this guy the POTUS, the potatoes in chief. But like, yeah, when that guy puts his hand on the Bible and says anything, right? It's like, oh, cool. We're supposed to believe that, A, you believe in what you just did. You believe in putting your hand on a Bible, and what you said is coherent and believable. What? Huh? Yeah. Just like, it's crazy, right? All of it. It's crazy. Turtles all the way down to the ground. All of it, right? Full faith and trust. Full faith and credit. Nice. Cool. Paul Doherty needs to know if Chia has mooned. No, Chia has left the building. Chia is not underwater, but it's definitely underground. Yeah, we'll talk about it, though. We're going to cover a little bit of portfolio stuff, guys, in a minute. So he's talking about the basics of arbitraging UST. And it says, depegging scenarios. It's the second step, the redemption that will fail at some point, initially because of the Terra protocol lowering the redemption ratio by increasing the so-called spread fee. And in the end, because of Luna being worthless. There's no risk of running out of Luna, though, since the redemption process is conducted by burning UST and minting new Luna. And this is where it kind of gets messy, guys. And this is why algo stables have historically always failed. Right, we saw it with Iron. We saw it with Rodney Fury saying, so in summary, all of these stablecoins are pegged to our crappy full faith government USD. Yeah, that is unfortunately, that is the base layer. You guys remember playing with Lego back in the day when you tried to get like one of those giant canvases that you could get, like the larger grid. There was like you could build on top of, instead of just like putting it on cardboard or like building on the floor or something. That little green canvas for Lego, it's USD. It's where all the stuff is built on top of. It's like, oh, cool, we can make these little economies and we can make them fiat back. We can denominate in fiat, in crypto. But yeah, that little base layer that we're building on top of for all those Lego building blocks for blockchain is still the unit of account, $1, which is becoming unaccountable, becoming useless, pointless, meaningless. So Raven Boy Crypto is asking, have you read the rumors about Citadel being involved? Yes, I have. I have. Citadel being involved. There's a strong possibility. I mean, we had Janet Yellen within 24 hours saying we need to regulate stablecoins. Look at this case study of UST. Right? Look at this case study. Obviously, we need to regulate before the end of the year, sooner than later, immediately. So it's a bit of an issue. Justice Canfield is asking, have you ever looked into Frax, potential new stablecoin winner? Yes, I have looked a little bit into Frax. I'm not a subject matter expert, guys, and I always want to be real with you, right? Like, I realize that kind of like goes against the job description. I'm on camera on YouTube. Well, you got to pretend like you're an expert, but I'm not, bro. If I was, I would just like take my credentials and go manage a portfolio for a fund for a bunch of people, right? I'm not going to pretend. But I do want to learn, and I want to help you learn. So, unfortunately, I'm not an expert on Frax. I'm not an expert on Liquidity Protocol either. But I am seeing that LUSD has not depegged. It's done really well with its over-collateralization method. But they're all on the chopping block. I mean, it was, as was mentioned in the comments before. So, yeah. Ravenboy Crypto is saying that he thinks that we are at war and the Citadel is trying to ruin crypto. You could be right. Yeah, they could be trying to drive the price of Bitcoin down to zero. And that's the problem with any kind of stables, and certainly CBDCs, guys. CBDCs they'd be the poison pill. They'd be the end, right? If you could get CBDCs trading on DEXs, and it doesn't matter which DEX it is, any kind of official CBDC, because, then we got the Fed directly at the helm saying, okay, print. It makes stuff like this look like nothing. Right? $50 billion, $80 billion. It could have been $150 billion. It could have been the market cap of Bitcoin right now for UST failing. And it would be nothing compared to what the Fed could do if they had control of the printer button on a CBDC. Right? And they said, okay, well, all right, the central banks, now you got to work with the retail banks. This all trickles down, right, to the retail banks. And they print overnight, right, with the stroke of a button, the stroke of a pen. They print the next round of stimulus checks, right? They come out through a CBDC. Overnight, $5 trillion worth of CBDCs. Well, guess what? Now they can absolutely destabilize the cryptocurrency markets because they are ultra mega whales on these ledgers. So, not cool. So anyway, yeah. Frax, I'll have to look a little more carefully into. But depegging scenarios here, the spread fee is the problem. In the end, Luna being worthless. No risk of running out of it because the redemption process conducted by burning UST, minting new Lunas with fiat-backed stablecoins. If UST's redemption process breaks down, then so will its peg. Before regarding in more detail how such a depegging event might play out, and this was all speculative at that time, it did play out because there was a group or an entity that had $1 billion worth of UST and then $3 billion worth of borrowed Bitcoin, right? So it was a double rug pull, right? Where it was like, okay, well, we're going to remove or redeem $1 billion worth of this and then just like continually spiraling this thing down to print, right? If you hit just at the right time between this spread fee and the arbitrage process, I mean, you can print quite a bit of profit. And apparently, if reports are to be believed, the attacker on UST and Luna, they got away with it. They clearly and cleanly got away with almost $800 million worth of profit on their end while wrecking the price for everybody else involved. So it was a complete value vampire attack. So draining value out of the system through that arbitrage while driving prices down on both UST and Luna because of that problem with the spread fee. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I didn't go to school for this. I didn't study this, and I wish now that I had, I guess. But there are way too many people who are so comfortable with this that they continue to play these games, and over in crypto, they cause these problems, like with Bitclout before. Well, I mean, it turns out, let me jump to a different article really fast. Turns out DoKwon was already part of a previous stablecoin project called Basis Cash. Yeah. So he already had a problem with an algorithmic stablecoin where there were, 9-figure stablecoin project that they basically they shuttered it because it just didn't work. Couldn't keep its peg. But I think it was something along the lines of $170 million or so. But huge amount of value that was already in that algorithmic stablecoin project. And it's just sort of, it's just now coming out. And plenty of people from the Terra labs, former employees and people who are at this point are they're clearly fearful for their lives, right? They're saying hey, I'll talk, but on, but only on the, only you promise to keep me anonymous, right? On condition of anonymity. I'll talk about it. But yeah, it was DoKwon that was behind this project, Basis Cash. So like there are people who already knew that these guys did this. And like, I wish I understood this stuff because I got a proper education in it. People who do seem to understand some of these arbitrage systems and AMMs, right? Proper arbitrage bots for creating automated market makers and such. They wind up controlling crypto. They've been controlling crypto for the last 2 years, since DeFi Summer 1, basically. And they kept on going back in and bringing in additional incentives and additional means by which they could extract as much value as possible, right? Like some of these people have become billionaires in this process of making something from nothing, right? Like, and it's enough to turn almost anybody into a Bitcoin maximalist, almost, right? Almost, where it's like, hey, look, hard currency, hard money, that's all it needs to be. That's all that a crypto needs to be. In my mind, I mean, there's still good reasons to continue with altcoins, still good reasons to continue with smart contract systems, and I haven't like lost faith personally in the idea of DeFi or Web3, or some of the ideas that it could become. But man, it really does mess with you, right? Where it's like, dang, like, yeah, how many ways can you fail at this? Walk away a multimillionaire or billionaire and have people continue to say like, oh yeah, well, this guy knows his stuff. These people will vouch for him. All these VCs, they'll vouch for him, right? Like A16Z, they think he's all right. They'll give him $100 million again to fail again and rug pull people again. It's crazy, right? It's just crazy. And then now, of course, when the markets are down, people are upset. Deadwood saying, isn't this the capitulation spike? It could be, guys. We got to keep our eyes on the charts. So that's the thing. There's a lot happening right now, but I mean, dang, yeah, daily, here we are at 29,000. It like Bitcoin was trying to break the support of 30K and had people doom posting about like, oh no, if we don't hold 30K, then it's all down to 20K. The Deadwood saying faith in Rob Grin. Rob Grin, he's got some good projects too. But nobody's perfect, and it's still crypto, and you have to deliver a product at the end of the day. That's why I am excited about some of the Rob Grin projects, like Fame. I'm excited about that being an event, a real event that people are going to actually go to, and they're going to create NFTs that appear to have real utility and that they represent those athletes on the night of a fight. So that's kind of cool, right? Like that's actual limited edition art that is value added. People in the video game systems are like in different, like the metaverse, when we don't talk about crypto, I'm paying for enhanced skins and weapons and all kinds of loot and stuff for decades now, right? So I do appreciate that. B Baker saying, did DoKwon go to Epstein Island? I bet there's a control file on him. Could be the Scientologists also have him. There's got to be some way to get to him, right? We can touch him somehow. I'm sure the FBI's got the goods. But yeah, keep your eyes on that Bitcoin chart. But I wouldn't lose sleep over the 15-minute chart or the 2-hour chart or whatever. Like that's a good way to drive yourself crazy. And guys, let me just say, for anybody who's watching and kind of wondering, hey, Seth, you seem a little bit anxious. Yeah, I am a little bit. These are exciting times, right? Like to put it mildly. But I would hate for anybody in our community to feel like, hey, this is too much and this is crazy. And I'm, and the walls are, closing in on me and this is, and I can't handle this. I'm being dead serious, guys. If you are feeling like the pressures of this market are getting to you, reach out to me. Like I'm pretty accessible on Telegram. I'm pretty accessible on Twitter. If you're having rough thoughts, like please hit me up. Like some people are really struggling with how all of this is panning out. And I know I'm making jokes and stuff and I'm making light of how this is all like happened or whatever. But if this is serious to you, like, and you happen to be watching this live stream, reach out, like talk to your family, talk to your friends. If you feel like they won't understand because they don't get crypto, talk to me and talk to other people in the space who get it, right? Who've been through it. I'm being very, very serious right now. Some people have really taken this market downturn very personally, very hard. And they've done some really, some really extreme things. So, it's all right. You're going to be okay. I'll put it that way. Like, just a reminder, you're going to be okay. Things go crazy and yeah, markets fluctuate. They naturally fluctuate anyway. The world is kind of already a little bit crazy right now. And this particular last week or so has been really, really rough for crypto, but like, it's okay, right? As long as you're okay, it's going to be okay, right? So reach out. Don't deal with it alone if it's becoming too much to bear. So Keith Bray is asking about, just tuned in, what's going on with Coinbase. Coinbase, oh my gosh, guys, it's like, yeah, there's so much to cover. Coinbase has published their terms of service, in their terms of service, that if they ever go bankrupt, the coins that you already knew aren't yours, right? Because it's not your keys, it's not your coins. The coins that you left with them in their custody, they can liquidate in order to pay off their debts. If they file for bankruptcy, your coins are going to be used as collateral to pay their debts. The same is true of FTX. Guys, stay off exchange. Yeah, fully stay off exchange. You can use DEXs, and that's the thing. DEXs and AMMs, they have their own risks, like we're talking about with these arbitrage systems. But at least these are systems that can be audited by smart contract auditors, and they can be understood, right, by people who give commentary on it, like we're reading right now. So, yeah, guys, just a reminder. Like, I cut to this angle because I wanted to let you know, again, just a reminder, like, really, if you're feeling rough, if it's a really hard day for you, like, you can reach out. You can talk. Like, there's a community here. A lot of people here who get it. You see the comment section full of people who understand. Like, crypto can be rough, but we have each other. We do. Like, and as long as we have each other, we're going to make it. Like, that's what making it means. Like, you've never heard me say, like, wag me. We're all going to make it because price is going to be perfect. No, that's a joke. That's a meme. We're going to make it because we have each other, right? Like, and we can be helpful to each other. So reach out again if you need it. Don't be alone. So Fragility, for every one UST that wants to convert back to one USD, there must be one USD or any other non-Terra asset worth one USD willing to either buy UST at a price of $1 or due to Terra's arbitrage mechanism buy Luna at whatever price. Otherwise, there are more UST eager to leave Terra than there are USD willing to enter Terra. In the way just described, UST can obviously no longer trade at parity. At the time of writing, there are 18.5 billion UST, while the market cap of Luna is 28 billion USD. Keith is asking recommendation on favorite hardware wallets. Let me pause with the reading here to let you know. Guys, really a big fan of the Ledger series of wallets. I've got the Nano S Plus here, and I've really enjoyed it. I think that Serpent X Tech also reviewed it recently. He picked one up when they first launched, just like me, and really like it. Yeah, I really like it. Crypto Noof, what's going on, man? Noof is in the chat. How are you, man? Good to see you. Keith is saying it's always Ledger versus Exodus. Well, here's the thing. Exodus is not really... they don't have a hardware wallet that I'm aware of. If they do, then I'd love to see it. So, yeah, I really like the Ledger Nano S Plus, just because it has it's got as much capacity as the Nano X, but it's a wired only option like the Nano X or Nano S. There you go. So, the memory capacity of the Nano X with the hardwired capability of the Nano S, and now with their new post-launch pricing, it's like $80 on Amazon shipped. So it's really darn good. Nano S is really good. I've used it for a couple of years and I really like it, but it only can hold a couple of applications at a time. So if you want to be able to install like the Bitcoin application and the Ethereum application, and then maybe one other Web3 application while also having Monero loaded up, you can't do that on the Nano S. It doesn't have enough memory to do that. And the base model for the Trezor, while it's okay, it doesn't support Monero. It's only the top of the line. So I'm just in very practical terms, the top of the line Trezor Model T, it's about it's almost $100 more. It's like $180 to get one of those shipped. Almost $100 more than the Nano S Plus. Nano S Plus supports all the coins. It's low profile. It's really small, easy to carry. Yeah, it's just really easy to support, really easy to get behind. And then it supports Solana and Cosmos, right? So for IBC related coins, it supports those. That's kind of a big deal if you're into, say, like Secret Network, or if you're into Shade Protocol, if you're looking at any of the other Cosmos-related ecosystems. So I realize that Luna is something right now. Terra is something that's got us all kind of spooked as far as IBC ecosystems, but there are plenty of other IBC coins and ecosystems that are pretty good. So, like, I really enjoy having a hardware wallet to keep me protected when using them. Asking if it's user-friendly, it's got 2 buttons. Yeah. Just 2 buttons. Ravenboy Crypto drops the real alpha there, though. He says, keep your seed phrase safe. That's true of any wallet that you use. If it uses what's called BIP39, seed phrase creation, then you gotta use one of these. Use a metal piece, piece of metal right here. And you can use either a metal stamping kit, metal punch kit. It's actually kind of painful to use. Or you can use a Dremel and just put your seed phrase into that with a Dremel tool, or, you know, a rotary engraving tool. You can get them like super cheap, and it's easier. It's just so much easier. It's almost like you're handwriting with it. But yeah, write it down with a Sharpie, and then use the Dremel to go over your writing. And then you got it engraved in metal. You don't have to worry about it. Then you can hide that very, very carefully. The Deadwood says it's spendy, and the Trezor one has less features. About $80-ish. Grab a ledger for the next wallet. Yeah, I think that's smart, man. There's so many other wallets, and I've reviewed a lot. I'm going to be reviewing something that EliPal wants to send me. They've got a little, it's kind of cool. It's a mnemonic seed phrase creator, but it's not a wallet. They're also sending me the newest version of their wallet when it launches, which is cool. But I'll be reviewing that on its own terms. Keith Bray is saying, I hate the seed phrases, such a pain. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but there's a reason that they're so useful. And we can talk about that on another live stream. It's called hierarchical determinism, but it's very, very helpful in figuring out, like, hey, which wallet did I have that in? You can generate a ton of accounts and a ton of wallets with one seed phrase. So that's why they're so helpful. And if you wanted to have literally 100 different Ethereum addresses, you could generate them with one seed phrase and then just label them 1 through 100 and say, yeah, 1 is for this and 2 is for this, and wallet number 100 is for the other thing. So both Ledger and Trezor support seed phrases. You can use the same seed phrase across either one of them. Let's see. Yeah, so Trezor, it uses seed phrase input just like Ledger. All the good wallets do, and then a few good wallets don't support seed phrase input. But you can't really export the main entropy to figure out how many wallets you generated. You have to export your wallets in a very different way. Then it puts an administrative burden on you, figuring out, okay, how do I securely store my private keys when I export them from a wallet like BC Vault. It's a great wallet, very, very secure, or great vault. It's very, very secure as a vault, not very usable as a day-to-day wallet. Justice is asking, have I reviewed the Ngrave wallet cold storage device? No, I haven't yet. But guys, really do reach out to any one of the wallet manufacturers. If they send it to me, I'll review it. But I'll just say it for the record, guys. The only wallet that I actually spend money on, I'll spend money on Trezor. I'll spend money on Ledger. I don't spend money on other wallets to do reviews. They can send them to me for testing and evaluation, but the likelihood of them getting me to replace my daily behavior is very, very low. Like, I'm willing to spend my own money on stuff that I'll use every day. But if they just want me to review it, they got to send it to me. And if they can win me over, I mean, heck, I'll buy another one, right? Like, I totally will. And I'll buy some for giveaways. But like, nah. It just hasn't happened yet. It hasn't. Ledger has been more than good enough, and it's just been simple enough and portable enough and easy enough to use that just haven't needed it. So anyway, yeah, that was a good tangent, guys, because that's another aspect of security. Like, it makes all this stuff like so difficult to fathom, right? Where you can do all the security stuff right, as far as seed phrases and storage of your seed phrases, using the right wallets, making sure nobody has access to any of that stuff, and then the tokenomics can break down like it did with Luna and UST. So yeah, crypto is not for the faint of heart, right? If you're doing it right, keeping your stuff off of exchange and making sure that nobody has access to any of your private credentials, using password managers and really hard passwords to guess so that any accounts you do have are really secure. And then some of the coins can still totally deflate like this. Yeah, kind of lose all their value. It's frustrating. I get it, guys. I really do. So, but you can't, I mean, you can't use that as an excuse not to be secure and not to use good hardware wallets. You also can't use the case study of UST and Depegging and Luna kind of losing its value. You can't use that one case study to say like, well, all crypto is bad all the time. There's a lot of Bitcoin maxis who are trying to say that. We're trying to say like, okay, well, stablecoins are a bad idea. Yeah, well, guess what? The thing that brought Bitcoin up to $20,000 in value back in 2017 was not its fundamentals. The thing that brought Bitcoin up to $20,000 in 2017 was the fact that Tether existed on Ethereum, right? Like Tether's existence made it possible for Bitcoin to pump up to that level that year. Because frankly, by all other metrics, by all other accounts, Bitcoin probably should have only run up to about a little over 10K that year, which would have been well over the price to produce one Bitcoin, at least at that time, but not this runaway price. Like we had this grossly inflated idea of how valuable Bitcoin should have been in this most recent run-up. And 70K was awesome. That was an awesome price for Bitcoin. So anyway. Yeah, the Deadwood says, you're honest and upfront. If their product is lacking, they won't send it your way. We appreciate your integrity. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Big Piggy's in the chat. Says, for sure, for 100% sure, not your keys, not your crypto. Good to see Big Piggy in the chat. Much love to the Raptorium team, to Big Piggy and Charlie. You guys are keeping it real. I know you're working hard, and you had a great run this last time through. I mean, you know, here's to hope, and we get another leg up, and that Raptorium just does phenomenally well. Because these guys, I know you're not going to give up in the bear. Whenever we do go back to a bear market, they're going to keep working. So it's awesome. Thanks for being here, man. Paul Doherty says, BTC Maxis and Janet Yellen were doing jello shots together last night. I seen it. I kind of wish you hadn't implanted that image in my mind, because now I can't unsee it. Paul. Gosh darn it. Ugh. Keith is saying, mind your biz, one of the most down-to-earth dudes in the space. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate that, man. Thanks so much. But yeah, we've got under Fragility. One would have to sell the complete circulating supply of a token at the prevailing market price in order to generate proceeds to the tune of the token's market cap. That's the definition of fully diluted market cap for sure, which is why you can't trust fully diluted market cap, and why market cap is a bit of a joke. Guys, sorry, I'm going to bring up something that's a bit controversial, but Richard Hart has it right in that liquidity matters more than market cap. You do get a lot of fake market caps. Satoshi Sean is in the chat. How you doing, man? We got to do another live stream soon. Another great commentator. Big Piggy bringing facts. Plenty of printing on OmniLayer back in the day as well. Yeah, they're about $1.5 billion. I think at its peak for Tether, guys. If you didn't know, with USDT, it wasn't just the ticker symbol that was on Ethereum. There was about $1.5 billion of Tether, or $1.5 billion tethers of of fake dollars on Bitcoin, operating on the OmniLayer protocol, which was a token protocol that runs on top of Bitcoin. Nobody uses it anymore at all. But that doesn't mean it never existed, right? So maxis who were like all salty about the existence of tokens, bro, they lived on Bitcoin. So anyway, saying guys, appreciate all the well wishes and the kind comments in the chat today. But yeah, guys, liquidity in a market cap, liquidity in a project, probably more important than market cap. Coin price and liquidity. If you can't sell it, it's not real. It's a bit like how that guy created a token. Well, first off, there was Australian Safe Shepherd, which was a joke, right? The gal that created Australian Safe Shepherd. And then there were a couple of other joke projects like that. But a dude that created a project that he knew he could create a pump with by wash trading his own coin to bring it up to a couple $1 billion value within a week. And then when interviewed, he just said, yeah, I know it's a joke. If I really wanted to rug pull, I could get away with I think I'd probably get away with like about maybe $300,000 worth of value. If I like carefully dumped my holdings of this token, I'd get away with about 300K before it totally imploded and I was, labeled as a scammer. So I'm just going to let it fizzle out. Like we're all going to calm down now, right? The Mexican standoff with the coin values. It's like, we're just going to let it fizzle out. And I'm not going to rug pull. But no, this coin is not worth billions of dollars. So just, pretty crazy. Keith is saying, this will be my first bull bear cycle. Got in early 21. Guess I got to hold and try to slowly DCA for the next few years. I'd like to get in early on some sort of household mining. Yeah, man, we are really, really close to the right time to get into mining. And I've been saying it for a couple of months. It was not the right time to continue to buy GPUs. We might see them, we might start to see secondhand supplies. I feel bad. I had to turn down somebody who wanted me to sell for them because their asking price was just too high for the GPUs right now. We're going to see tech really go on fire sale very, very soon. AMD, they've already decreased the price of their 5000 series Ryzen processors. So yeah, that is like if you wanted to build a CPU mining rig or a really good host rig, might be a good time to do that. But GPUs, there's still a little bit more downward possibility for that price. Like we might see even better prices in the next few months. Of course, you know what I said about new GPU production and Neon production. I got raked over the coals for it too, but like I'm going to stand by that as well. Like there's a strong possibility that we will see a weird spike in GPU or in tech production, maybe, because supply chain has been very weird. So we'll talk about that as well, guys. But yeah, Terra's ponzinomics: convert 1 USD to 1 USDT, deposit 1 UST into Anchor, their lending protocol, for some time, and receive UST interest, which they swore up and down. They told us that Anchor Protocol was going to yield 19% every year. They promised it. That's back. I mean, we've had Crypto.com cut its card member rewards. We've had Celsius basically entirely cut any kind of yield offerings for U.S. customers because they're just saying, hey, we can't do it. Under law, we can't do it. Also, it's going to be really difficult for us, but we'll just say it's just the law. So yeah, when you've had a bunch of other groups saying we can't offer you yield anymore, or our yield has to be brought down because of the realities of the market, you had Anchor saying, oh nope, 19%, we'll keep the party going. How is that being floated up? How's that being propped up? Convert 1 UST to 1 US, or 1 UST to 1 USD. As noted in the last action, step 3 necessitates a 1 plus X USD willing to buy either UST at a price of $1 or Luna at whatever price. We got a bunch of Raptorium fans in the chat, guys. You love to see it. It's great. Got some real ones. They're gonna keep building. Guys, I have a strong feeling we're gonna see a lot of Raptorium and Flux on the channel in the coming months. I don't know. Call it a hunch. So to sum up, during UST supply expansion, principals and interest accrued pursuant to Terra's 19.5% interest rate are paid by new money that enters Terra in order to enjoy this very interest rate. And that is the definition of a Ponzi. Brandon's in the chat, says, keep up the awesome work, comrade. Just had a moment between clients and wanted to drop in to listen for a bit. Thanks so much. Really appreciate that. Brandon doing the Lord's work. Doing the Lord's work out near Boise, for sure. Guys, we need more healers. Oh, was that not advice? It's not advice. It's not financial advice. We do need more healers, though, for sure. Andrew saying, "Caw!" Awesome. Love it. So, yeah, that, of course, is the hallmark of a Ponzi scheme and not sustainable. Yeah, if you're reliant entirely on new money to come in, which, frankly, I mean, that's kind of been true of the crypto markets for the last 6 months. We've needed fresh money to come into the crypto markets in general, which points to all of the crypto market cap as being like a giant macro Ponzi, which is not entirely true. There are some projects that actually have merit, but unfortunately, you need capital to fly from one area to another to be able to say, yeah, this market is hot. So, I don't know. Is all of the economy a Ponzi? Maybe. The dollar definitely is. I mean, we know for a fact also that that definitely what's the Social Security? That's definitely a Ponzi. It's about to blow up. The Deadwood says Boise has a good welding program. Ooh, that'd be good. Good to know. So, let's see, sometime inflow of new funds affected by Terra's exceptional interest rates will no longer be high enough to compensate for outflowing principals and interest. At that point, Terra's resilience to UST supply contractions will be tested, which is true. They could have just said like, oh yeah, the interest rate needs to drop. We can't promise these rewards. You're just going to have to settle for the value of the printed amount of UST right now. And we can correct this by just being honest about what the yield is. I think that could have helped. I think that could have helped to to reverse the flow. Paul Doherty says getting into crypto is how I learned crow onomatopoeia. That's great. Until then, step 1 above has for Luna holders and VCs the pleasant side effect of pumping their bags. Why? The demand for UST lifts UST's price above $1. This prompts arbitrageurs to buy and burn Luna in order to mint and sell UST. As a result, the price of Luna rises. It is this side effect that makes it difficult for those in charge of Terra to recognize the unsustainability of the scheme they are running. Last, let's have a look at Anchor. 19.5% interest rate it offers on native UST. Time of writing, there's 18.5 billion UST in total. 13.7 billion UST are deposited into Anchor, receiving 6.7 million UST in interest every day. Only about 1.5 million UST of this daily paid out interest come from borrowers, which besides are subsidized by ANC tokens distributed to them. The remaining more than 5 million UST stem from the so-called yield reserve. Ooh. The Deadwood, hey, brings up a very important comment, guys, which I'd love to echo. He says, I'm diving into Richard Heart and PulseX and Hex. Been regretting not getting in earlier on Hex. I think a lot of people are regretting that. I think a lot of people are regretting, well, and here's kind of a reality. There were a lot of people who took exceptional risk, like exceptional amounts of risk, when Hex first launched. And they're outliers, and there were very, very few. Some of the biggest Hex whales are going to remain unknown because it would be unsafe for them to be known. But then there are some people who've just done very, very well by taking on some risk early on in Hex's life cycle and its existence. Because there was no proof that Richard Heart would not rug. For as much as he is a public person and he's known, he was a noted Bitcoin maximalist before that point, all the way up to that point. Richard Heart only touted the benefits of Bitcoin. But then the moment he got into planning his project, he went fully offensive by saying like, okay, well, I've got to take down disinformation, right? We're going to attack the big blockers, going to debate Roger Ver publicly, going to debate CSW publicly, going to go to public events and call CSW a scammer and a fraud. Call him somebody who's fake, right? Fake Toshi and all that. So he went really far on the offensive to be able to prove like, no, I'm definitely a maxi. Like I'm all in on Bitcoin while planning Hex, looking at the tokenomics, mapping it out, trying to figure out what the best substrate was to launch on, which was the EVM, right, the Ethereum virtual machine, to launch a token. And so for anybody who like looked at him and thought, okay, let's take a look at the cycle, like let's do some psychographics here. What kind of person decides to completely drop the Bitcoin maxi narrative and pursue something else? And then look at the debate style. Right? The psychographics of this person. Does this person match the profile of a sociopath? They might, right? Based on the debate style. A high functioning, highly intelligent sociopath. And this is not me saying anything that Richard would disagree with. I've had conversations with him on live streams and stuff. I don't think he would disagree with it. Me characterizing him this way, because you can be a benevolent sociopath. You absolutely can be. And you can be highly intelligent and choose to use it for good or evil, right? Like that's totally true. There are plenty of highly intelligent people who've done the world good. And then plenty of highly intelligent people who become malevolent sociopaths and go out and like either choose to be mass murderers or like serial killers or something. I don't think he's a serial killer. I don't think he's a mass murderer. And now it's proven over a couple of years, I don't think Richard Heart intends to rug pull. But we couldn't have known that based on his personality at that time. I hope that makes sense, guys. And this is me like at the time, I regret actually not being more of a Richard Heart apologist when he launched, because I was this close to creating a video saying, you know, in defense of Richard Heart. That was actually going to be the title, In Defense of Richard Heart, because of his bombastic debate style and because of how he presents himself, which for most people makes him seem like an unpredictable sociopath, because he's highly intelligent and appears to be low empathy for a lot of people. Like some people really feel like he rubs them the wrong way. So for a lot of people, that's kind of like, well, can I trust this guy? Or like whatever, would I have lunch with this guy? Would I go have beers with this guy? Or whatever your metric is, like socially. The way that the simple heuristic that you use to filter through the thousands of people you meet in your life. So a lot of people wrote him off, where they were like, okay, well, you changed your tune and now you're promoting this thing. It could, like, does it fit the description of a Ponzi? Is it going to enrich you? All this other stuff. So yeah, it became really polarizing. And I'm not a big fan of like discussing people, right? I'm a much bigger fan of discussing ideas. But because we're talking about this right now, guys, I want to touch on this point and then leave it alone. I'm not a big fan of discussing people at all. But I think that's why it was so controversial at first, is because of that big question mark that a lot of people had. Like, can I really trust this guy? Like, I can trust him when he says something that I believe is trustworthy, but when he goes off script, right? Like it seems easy to trust somebody, when you're at a Catholic church who talks about what they learned at catechism. It's easy to trust somebody at a born again Christian congregation when they raise their hands and say God is good, and they expect you to call back all the time, right? Like in the in-group, you think that you trust people because of stuff they say that fits your narrative. And when he went off the narrative for Bitcoin, everyone was like, oh, can we trust this Richard Hart? We don't know, because of all the other stuff, right? The personality profile. So, yeah. It can be hard for some people. Mobius says he does. When you listen, he seems to really want to help people, in my opinion. Yeah, no, I agree. But then it's paired with a bit of textbook narcissism, which for some people, when they see that side of sociopathy, which can be good or bad, right? It's not me throwing a slur when I say that somebody is a sociopath. I actually use that as a term of endearment. Personally, I use that as a compliment in my circle, because I like to surround myself with intelligent people like you, with like this audience. I really believe that the Miners audience is one of the most intelligent, and that the GPU mining community is one of the most intelligent in crypto, because we got to work a little harder to understand certain things. So maybe we're just, does that have to do with intelligence? Applied intelligence, right? We have to work a little harder. So so I think a lot of people, when they see a character like Richard, they see that he's highly intelligent, that he's highly capable, and that he is potentially a high-functioning, narcissistic sociopath. But they don't get that can totally be decoupled from morality. They don't understand that. They just view that as like, well, the last person who I met who was a little bit narcissistic or who was so intelligent that they were always talking about how intelligent, they did this thing. They were just, they were just a dick. It's like, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, we got it. I mean, you touched the stove once and you got burned. All right, so your life experience taught you that. But I mean, what have you achieved in life by listening to all the people who made you feel safe? Did they help you get ahead? Did they actually make you safe in the long run? So I don't know, man. Like the Deadwood saying, I feel bad that I didn't initially say like, oh, things are not what they seem. Like you can have an impression of somebody that's totally wrong, and they actually can be trying to do something that is positive. So anyway, Big Piggy says, see enough of humanity and low empathy is one of the consequences that eventually comes along. It's true. Yeah, it's true. Even from people who like are very big-hearted, even from people who are genuinely trying to be empathic, like you can just develop a calloused edge. So anyway, Ravenboy Crypto saying this touches on stoicism. Yeah, no, it does. I think there's a reason that characters like Jordan Peterson are becoming so popular now, right? With their message and having that also touch on stoicism so much. A lot of people who are coming around to the idea that like, yeah, my sentiment didn't get me very far. Thinking objectively, but then also applying that towards the human experience and even things like sentiment and spirituality, the relationship between people and divinity, like. Maybe they were onto something back then. Maybe people were no more or less stupid or intelligent back then than they are now. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, guys, we're in some deep territory here for sure, very deep territory. But to bring it back to the original thread starter, I think the Deadwood is right in saying it's okay to stay curious, and especially when you think you have a bias, man. I think, especially on weeks like this week, when we see the market's really red, it's easy to say like, well, a lot of people were wrong about a lot of things, so we should definitely be informed about other things. What didn't go wrong? Very easy to beat yourself up by thinking like you did something wrong. The market's also just correct, and there are also just market cycles. That's also true. And people who were intelligent but committed to this side of the market planned for it. There are plenty of people who hedged moving into this downward trend. There are plenty of people who took profits on the way up and said, oh, did I miss out on a 10x because I took profits at a 5x? Boo-hoo. I took profit because a lot of people saw their bags ride all the way up to 10x and they rode them all the way down to nothing, right? So anyway, yeah, very, very easy. Bernie says, I think I remember you warning me of Richard Hart back in 2018, 2019. It was either you or Kev. Yeah, no, it's okay. The Deadwood says, sorry to sidetrack you. It's all right, man. Tangents are fun. And I don't get to really go on full tangents around the blockchain because we don't have time for it. It's a very highly structured show. So I appreciate that. But yeah, as far as there being any kind of a warning, it's tough because there are a lot of people in this space who are really good at debate. I'm going to point to somebody else because I don't like talking about people or dwelling on people too much. Nafal saying my UST went down 50%. I know, man. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. We're going to talk about that a little more. But Roger Ver, right? Excellent at debate. He's actually really, really, really good at debate, which is why he took to the debate stage for so long as a champion of first, mainline Bitcoin before there was any kind of a contentious hard fork with Bitcoin Cash, and then started to champion Bitcoin Cash. Right. And he was not actually part of leadership for Bitcoin Cash, and it's not his project or his ticker symbol. But Roger Ver, one of those people who's extremely well-spoken, actually very charismatic, even though he seems a bit tightly wound. He appears that way, but very charismatic and very good at what he does. There's a reason he was independently successful before he got into crypto too, right? Roger Ver was. So yeah, there are these characters like this who gravitate towards crypto because it's like, man, I can take that skill set and I can parlay it into becoming uber wealthy beyond what I ever earned anywhere else. Like I can 10x my net worth by moving from almost any other space, right? Real estate, commodities, big business, small business. I can probably 10x my wealth within a couple of years, max 5. I can 10x my wealth. Like it would be crazy. Paul Doherty says the exchange rate between BTC and UST hit $100,000. I know. All those laser eyes on Twitter, they worked after all. Isn't that amazing? But only for UST. So the death spiral. Hjalmar says the eventual start of a UST spiral contraction can trigger a fatal reinforcement of that very contraction due to the following undesired incentives and side effects. Selling pressure on UST entails selling pressure on Luna. There are two reasons for this cause-effect relationship. And what he doesn't even take into account here is that there was the LFG fund, which the Terra Labs group formed in order to back up, had the notion of backing up UST with Bitcoin, which further just caused a stronger correlation between the death spiral of UST and Terra, or Luna, and then also Bitcoin. This most recent red candle day, very likely because of the massive sell-off of Bitcoin they had to do to try to prop up their bags of Luna and in order to prop up the value of UST, right? Like a lot of Bitcoiners, or at least a few, Udi Wertheimer was one, like, oh, you guys don't understand. It's going to be so cool. Look, somebody who's not a Bitcoiner is buying Bitcoin. And there were a lot of diehard Bitcoiners who were like, oh, yeah? How long is that going to last? Who was right? Obviously, Udi's going to be doing the walk of shame at the next conference. But he does talk about UST and Luna here. As soon as the selling pressure pushes UST's price below $1, arbitrage will set in. As described above, this arbitrage involves minting and selling Luna. For another thing, UST is a central pillar of the Terra ecosystem. A lot of UST leaving this ecosystem may indicate a weakening interest in Terra and, by extension, prompt speculative Luna holders to part with their tokens. Selling pressure on Luna. Selling pressure on Luna entails selling pressure on UST. So it's the inverse is true as well. Luna plays a central role in UST's redemption process. If the price of Luna drops significantly or fast, then UST holders may worry about the future availability of these redemptions, because if it is a stablecoin based on the backing of Luna, obviously there has to be a liquidation event. There has to be. They have to recall UST if the value of Luna drops below the price that was used in order to peg that stable, right? But it doesn't. It didn't. It just decreases the price of the dollar, or their representation of the dollar. So, UST holders may worry about the future availability of these redemptions. By extension, decide to sell a UST while they still get something for it. I mean, I was in a private chat with somebody who sold. The guy sold $3 million of UST, or sorry, sold 3 million UST at 90 cents. Took a bath on $3 million, which should have been $3 million, or took a 10% haircut on $3 million. But he let another million UST ride all the way to its current price. He hasn't had the guts to just like pull the plug and just sell it, just market sell it. So he could very well potentially see $1 million, what was $1 million worth of value, go to zero while he sits on the sidelines waiting for this to either correct or just disappear, right? And that could happen to this guy. This is also a guy who asked me to set up a GPU mining facility, spec out all of the profits, all the P&L for him for free. I hate to come across as lacking empathy, but this is a person whose decision making I don't really respect. Sorry. It's like, dude, what? Okay. Like, okay. All right. Good luck. I feel bad, but like, sucks to suck. Ooh, I don't say that phrase often, but when I say it, I try not to use my naughty language. When I say it, I mean it. So two cause-effect relationships constitute a negative feedback loop. That's the death spiral. And the two charts below show the death spiral that happened last year to Iron Finance with the Iron token and Titan. Note that Iron was 75% backed by a USDC reserve, and this is kind of what has me a bit concerned about Maker and DAI. Now, Maker seems like it's far over-collateralized, and they tried to I think, take the I think that Iron Finance tried to take that step from Ravenborg. Thanks for laughing, Ravenborg Crypto, because I gotta laugh it off too, man. Sometimes the emotions do. What was my advice to everybody before? If you're feeling some sort of way, take a step back, reach out. Maybe got to DM one of you after the live stream, like, bro, calm down. It's not that serious. It really isn't. But it is. It did make me feel bad to see somebody take that big a bath and then remember, like, wait a second, were you the guy that? Oh yeah, that guy. I don't wish ill for this person. I really do hope he recovers his bags. But I'm also kind of like, bruh. So, Titan crashing to zero, depegging scenario. 95 cents for 1 UST when 45,000 UST per minute are traded. 50 cents per USD per UST when 7 million UST per mint are traded. And I mean, it just went nuts. It went nuts. The attacker for UST had about $1 billion of UST in reserve and then about $3 billion of Bitcoin in reserve. So between that arbitrage action, they were able to print about $800 million of profit for themselves and stay a get out with their own initial and wreck the price here. I could probably do a more comprehensive dive on that, but and I said I was going to read this all the way to the end, but I think I'm actually kind of bugging you guys with this. Just skip ahead to some key points here. I might be boring you guys with doing a line reading here because this is not my voice, right? Bakamono says free mental health care for lunatics. Dude. Yeah, but I think crypto fanatics, like, we're all in this together right now because lunatics are dragging us down, right? It's like a drowning man. How do you save a drowning man, like, by yourself, right? You can't swim out to him because you're both going to drown. So how do we save each other in this moment? If you're feeling bad, reach out. We actually do need each other. That was a bad analogy because we are in this together, and it's not like a single drowning person. So, yeah, reach out. Talk. That's the most important way. Like, talk, get it out of your system. Go outside, backyard, or if you live near a wooded area, go out to where you don't think anyone can see you. Just friggin' scream, right? Yell. Rah! Let it out. Don't keep it inside. And then talk to people. So, yeah, but the Bitcoin reserves, he does touch on it. It says, since recently, Terra tries to mitigate this weakness by partially backing UST with non-Terra assets, mainly Bitcoin. Last 3 months, they purchased 42.5 thousand Bitcoin, currently worth 1.6 billion, or at the time of writing, and then $3 billion or $0.3 billion worth of USDC and USDT. Now, there was also a planned expansion into Avalanche, which I'm not even familiar with whether or not the LFG group actually did purchase that Avalanche. If they did, it's going to be really painful to be an AVAX holder very, very soon, because you're going to see this death spiral latch on to AVAX and drag its price down as well. But yeah, collateralize the existing 18.5 billion UST to the tune of 10%. In the future, Terra plans to alter its UST minting process so its reserve grows in lockstep with the UST supply. In order to mint 1 UST, we would have to add maybe 0.4 USD worth of Bitcoin to Terra's reserve and burn 0.6 USD worth of Luna. The exact ratio is yet to be determined. Conversely, it's planned the USD can be redeemed for Bitcoin in addition to Luna. For the remainder of this article, I will assume these plans have already been realized. Wow. Here's the weaknesses. Selling pressure on UST weakens Terra's reserve. Selling pressure on UST prompts arbitrageurs to buy and burn UST in order to take Bitcoin out of the reserve and sell them. The selling of these Bitcoin depresses Bitcoin's price. So all in all, Terra's reserve shrinks its remaining Bitcoin, shrinks and its remaining Bitcoins lose value. So it increases the speed of the death spiral, right? The velocity is trouble. Nafal says, buy UST can help. Effective? I don't know. Well, there have been some members of the IBC ecosystem, such as Greg Osuri. I think he meant well by calling for people to try to buy Luna if they can. They can afford to buy some Luna bags in order to try to prop up, because there would be buy pressure against Luna, thereby backing the algorithmic backing for the UST peg. So not buying UST, but buying Luna, right? You figure if the price of Luna is dropping anyway, then the idea is you can there's a lot more upside in the Luna price than there is in UST price, or there should be, right? Ideally. UST was only about 90 cents yesterday, and well, Luna lost more than 10% of its value in the last couple of days. So his solution was for people to try to buy up as much Luna as they could bear. And for everybody in the IBC ecosystem, Cosmos, Akash, his project, and some others, for them to try to buy up as much Luna as possible, because many of them are using UST as the preferred stablecoin on the IBC networks, right? It's they got these cross-chain swaps of UST that are built into it as a token. It's a very powerful thing, but to back them, you would need to have a more healthy Luna would be one way to do it. You could also have more healthy Bitcoin, like this guy's saying, but unfortunately the death spiral kind of latched onto Bitcoin, and 80,000 coins, 80,000 Bitcoin being sold off. It eventually did drag us below the $30,000 resistance line, right? Or support line rather. Sorry. So yeah, here we are below $30,000. And yeah. So there's kind of like, once the death spiral starts, that's a big problem. Very, very difficult to reverse. You're going to have people who want to run to cover their portfolios. You have $3 million sitting in a stable. It's something you think is a stable coin. I mean, put yourself in that person's shoes, especially if you're like nearly all in with crypto, especially the nouveau riche of crypto, people who've built their portfolio up over the last couple of years, and they've left a lot of the traditional assets behind, especially a lot of the traditional commodities and equities, and in particular real estate, things like that, right? Where it's like, okay, the real estate market is looking a bit like a bubble right now anyway. Also, because there's been a lot of capital flight from other markets into real estate, been a lot of just craziness in the real estate markets. You can see the charts, right, where the the price of homes is not like the way it's fully decoupled with the increases in people's wages and increases in people's salaries. So real estate has been crazy. A lot of people have like completely taken what was real estate wealth when they became like suddenly house rich and flipped it into cryptos. And so you got a lot of people who are highly exposed to cryptocurrency. Well, a lot of them have been looking for stable ways to peg their earnings, right? And their yield into a stable coin. when they're trying to ride out dips or when they're trying to just trade, right? Do like simple trades or simple investments. So yeah. B. Baker says Luna is a bad charity at this point. Yeah, I agree. But there have been calls from the IBC community to try to buy up Luna. Like they're calling their Hail Mary to repeg UST. I think it's beyond that, though. I think that they are going to fully give out under their own weight of the death spiral. So weakening reserve entails selling pressure on USD, which we've seen. Salvation through Bitcoin appreciation. Now, if the Bitcoin reserve would collateralize UST sufficiently strongly that in theory, all UST could be redeemed at parity, then the risk of a collapse would no longer exist. As it happens, the price of Bitcoin more than doubled each year on average during the last 10 years. That is true. Year over year, if you look at 10 years, you're looking at about 200% appreciation on Bitcoin. The problem is the last year has been an exception because of manipulation, and also you need to over-collateralize. This is why I've been looking at LUSD and thinking, okay, liquidity kind of makes sense. I'll look at Frax also, as mentioned in the comments, but LUSD allows for a certain collateralization ratio chosen by the person who mints the LUSD. So if you collateralize by 200%, then you're in fairly good shape, right? Even if you have a 50% drawdown in the value of the backing for your own stable coins, then you're fine. And you can personally redeem at what you minted, right? Or at the correct collateralization ratio of what you minted, right? So if you see a 20% drawdown, a 20% price drop in the amount of collateral you gave, then instead of seeing the 200%, you'll see, whatever, I guess 20% less, I think. You'll see 20% less, essentially. So it's then paid out according to the ratio of the collateral you gave. So it can kind of balance itself. But of course, if you get down underneath the full collateral amount, it liquidates, right? You no longer have your collateral. It's gone. It's no longer available to you. You're left with the amount that you minted. But of course, it's a very expensive way to take out loans, right? 200% collateral. You wouldn't do that for other things. But 200% collateralization, you wouldn't do that for certain other things, for borrowing, not for lending at all. But within a stablecoin ecosystem, it's like, okay, well, this is kind of a bit more safe, right? And there was no just liquidation protocol here. And if there was, it was being gamed by the Terra Labs group, right? So Deadwood saying Luna, the BitConnect 3.0. Latrell coming in with some facts. Luna gave people a nice tax deduction. Yeah, tax loss harvesting, man. People are going to need it. They're going to need it this year. There are plenty of people who've come forward and said, hey, with this most recent death spiral of Luna, UST, and what it's done to Bitcoin, my net worth will be net negative at the end of this tax year. So, ouch. A lot of people are going to be just barely getting by. Just as the rest of the commodities and equities start to take a dump as well, if we see inflation also kind of continue. So, I mean, hey, our grandparents all got their wish. We live in interesting times, right? We can't argue that. Next year is going to be very interesting, for sure. Bare minimum. Like all those people from the Middle Ages, just living in the moment. We'll have to think about where our clean water and food is coming from again. Blessing in disguise. Silver linings everywhere. Jokes, guys. We're going to be okay. A lot of us are going to be okay because we have each other, right? So, and hold your loved ones closely, right? That's the most important things. The most important thing in life is to build those relationships in IRL, AFK. Not that I'm not here for you guys, right? That's the thing. I'm going to keep on saying that. If you need somebody to talk to, please reach out. I'm accessible. I don't want to have that on my conscience. If somebody from this audience feels like, yeah, things are really, really tough, and I'm just gonna, whatever. I'll just fade back, right? I'll just opt out. Nah, man, contact me. Hit me up. DMs are open. They are everywhere. I've got my DMs open. Don't go it alone. You don't have to. So, but build those relationships. Your family loves you. Your friends, they are there. I promise they are. So, yeah, appreciation would help, but Bitcoin is not appreciating. It's been dragged down because of that peg. So it says, if you think this article is nothing but FUD, then note I am happy to put my money where my mouth is. And I'm offering 2 bets on UST's demise. One here on longbets.org. He actually put in a bet there, and then one for profit. It's the one he did over on Twitter, where he, where he calls out DoKwon directly, personally. The Deadwood says, guess we all should have filed extensions on taxes. Then we could claim this crash. Yeah. B. Baker saying, I remember how all the YouTube channels were in favor of Luna because they were buying Bitcoin. LOL. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think when I was asked about it on any of the live streams, I was like, oh, I guess that's good. And then I'm not convinced. I'm not sure. It sounds good, right? But the way that you actually allocate that kind of a fund is more important than what you put into it, right? They could have put gold. And I know it sounds weird because there have been gold-backed cryptos before, and more than once, right? Where there are people like, oh, look, every one of our coins is backed by 1 troy ounce of gold or something else, whatever it is. There have been other precious metal-backed projects. Most recently, guys, I covered the Castello Cube, which is an NFT project that uses a commoditized piece of art, right? So it's a gold cube that ostensibly has artistic value. There's so many ways you can do it, right? But the problem, it comes with rehypothecation, right? Saying that you got a certain amount of backing and then saying, oh, but actually we're counting this backing towards that as well. And actually that backing can be used in this way, but you can redeem in this way. Again, IOUs stacked on IOUs that are being used as leverage for other IOUs. Where is there something real? It's hard to know where there's something real. And then what proves that it's real and scarce? What proves that it's valuable? Because even gold can be argued is not valuable enough. Like we've seen plenty of people argue against Peter Schiff and be right. So, yeah. There's a lot to unpack, guys, across all the stuff that's happening. But Luna UST, that's a little bit more about why, guys. The peg just doesn't hold. The algorithmic stablecoins are difficult. They're noticeably difficult. They're notoriously difficult. We know this. This isn't a shock. We've known this for years that algorithmic stablecoins are hard to get right. And the Haven protocol developers, that's why what they were working on was so risky, was so gutsy. Was that they were trying to come up with a mint and burn protocol that got the collateral ratios correct and got the arbitrage mechanisms less prone to being gamed by bad actors. So, because Haven XHV, it got wrecked twice. Once by somebody who did just like what this group is doing, but with much smaller amounts. And then again, almost in the same way. Right? Algo stables are just hard. And the moment that you think you're safe, somebody with just enough collateral and enough time to build really good automated systems will come through and say like, nope, actually, I'm going to go ahead and just destroy everything you built through arbitrage. It's a sad thing. I hate to see it. There's a bit more that I want to bring to light here, though. Plenty of people such as Corey Klippsten over at Swan Bitcoin talked about how, BTC necked. Hey, Corey, now you and a few others who called this rubbish are the smartest guys in the Bitcoin space. I and the others in Bitcoin would sure like to know how your thoughts on how long it takes us to right this mess and get out from under it. The way you get out of it is convert your alts to Bitcoin and wait. Eventually, you'll get back everything you have lost. Exactly. Just stack sats diligently and wait. B. Baker says, I need an ammo-backed stablecoin. Dude, it's time. Oh my gosh. Guys, you don't realize how close I am to just announcing that's what I want to do. You know how hard it would, or rather how easy it would be for me to get a couple ammo manufacturers on board? Because lead and brass, when crafted into something useful, like if you just stockpiled ammo before all the lockdown nonsense happened, you would have made 500% on your money, right? No matter what you used to spend, no matter what you used to buy it, you would have made 500% on your money, right? For that ammo purchase. I think you're actually right. I think you're actually onto something there, B. Baker. So I'm tempted. Don't tempt me, man. Don't tempt me, right? I'll go build something like that, and then also have proof of work, right? To mint the process, proof of work security, so we actually know. It's like, all right, no game in this. But guys, I joke. You can't take what I'm saying here on this live stream serious. I'm not actually planning to do that. If you're seriously planning on doing it, though, contact me again. Now that you know, DMs are open. Don't be abusive, but like DMs are open. So whatever. Yeah, let me. Let me know if that's something you're planning on, or if you know a team that's actually going to do it. I would love to be a part of that. Love to be involved. Just let me know. But yeah, exactly. Stack sats diligently and wait. Dude, don't try to predict the price if it dips, and then enjoy cheap sats if it pumps. Keep stacking. Bitcoin price artificially discounted. I highly recommend buying more using Swan Bitcoin. This is where So, oh my gosh. I like my Bitcoin like I like my artificial sweetener. Saccharin to the point of making someone vomit. You do realize that the sweet and low is. It's literally saccharin. Okay? It's like the old school artificial sweetener. Before it started giving people cancer, it was just gross. And then when it stopped being gross, it just gave you cancer. Yeah, I said it. So anyway. Yeah, I don't know that I agree with this, guys. This is where I start to see stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so there were a lot of Bitcoin maxis who spoke out against Luna and the UST stablecoin because they were interested in something else. Those who had the greatest interest in seeing Bitcoin infrastructure be adopted as the only, air quotes, cryptocurrency. There is no second best, right? Like, good. Cool. Thanks, Sailor. Appreciate it. We're dropping past the Sailor line. So Sailor's wrecked right now, too. Like, how's that working out for you? There is no second best. Yeah, there's no second best salesperson for Bitcoin either, I guess. People on Clubhouse had them mortgaging their homes. I knew a guy that I've mentioned a couple of times, guys. I knew a guy that sold his truck and his motorcycle to buy the top for Bitcoin. He bought the friggin' top because of guys like Sailor and because of guys like Corey here, right? Like, good job. Like, there are real consequences too for giving out that kind of feedback, right? We're like, oh my gosh, up and to the right, up only, Bitcoin forever. Nothing else can come close. Like, dude, look, I get it. I do believe in Bitcoin's fundamentals, but when you talk like that, you sound like somebody who's pumping a scam. That's what you sound like. And you hasten the sort of toxic regulation that Janet Yellen and all these other characters want to enforce on us because you're promoting something that does not have strong fundamental reasons for going up and to the right. Yeah, so let's see. Paul says, I hate Ethereum, but I have no idea if it'll go to 100K after the merge for some reason. It'll be Murphy's Law, right? You'll be like, okay, I'm all out of Ethereum, and it'll, of course, pump. The moment that one of us sells, it'll, of course, pump. Like, as far as Ethereum fundamentals, man, I don't have strong affinity for Ethereum. I really don't, because of what the merge is going to do and how long it's going to delay the real functionality that it promises. It's going to be like, oh, see, we're fully proof of stake. It's just going to cut out miners initially. The throughput won't be any better. The fees won't get any better. Nothing from the user experience is going to change or improve in any significant way in the next 6 to 12 months. Clip that, screenshot that, share it on social media. Tell all your friends. Get this time code link right here. I've said it a multitude of times. Ethereum's user experience is not going to improve. And the beacon chain merge going to proof of stake doesn't change that at all. So, yeah, I hold on to some for gas fees, but I'm not like stacking Ethereum. Not in the same way that I'd be willing to stack Bitcoin. So anyway, that's my take on that. Let me go through a couple of market things here, guys. I got to jump on the other live stream in just a little while, but go through a couple of market fundamentals here. Just a reminder that we've kept the receipt on DoKwon and some of this background stuff, like the previous attempt at a stablecoin. We've kept the receipt on some of his known associates, so-called Diamondhands, with a face and a smile that only a mother could trust. All right, so yeah, some of the VC backers who jumped into this because this guy was like, you know what, you can do it. This is going to be fine. You'll be safe. All kinds of, backing for Bitclout that went on to just get people wrecked. And you know what? I'm sorry. The fact that Tyga, Antonio Brown, Deep Low, Blau, all these other characters, the fact that they got profiles on there and says, we didn't know it would be this successful. We were not expecting it to grow at the level that it was. Their concerns were actually valid. Guys, that's lip service. I was there on Clubhouse when the Bitclout rooms were being run, when they paid Pamela Anderson to be in a Bitclout room to receive her official Bitclout namespace. Guys, it was absolutely a pay to play. event. It was absolutely paid endorsements. It was absolutely like paid marketing out the wazoo. They spent millions promoting this thing. You didn't know it would be successful? Come on. It was by design. The marketing I haven't seen anything like it in this bull run other than the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I'll just say that, right? Like Bored Apes and some of the other NFT projects, which I think they're trying to build something that's different. I don't want to like say anything untoward with that group. I think that they mean well, Yuga Labs and such. But Bitclout, I'm just going to say, anybody who says that it was like, oh, our success was accidental, it just kind of happened. No, it wasn't. You guys paid top dollar to get top market makers or top marketers who were all the same characters who pre-sold tens of millions of dollars of ICOs back in 2016. How do I know? Because I recognized them and I kept the receipt. Some of these guys, like, they sold worthless ICOs back in 2016 for tens of millions of dollars, got away with a couple $1,000,000 themselves in their own commissions, their own commission fees. And they were like, all right, cool. We're back into using and abusing crypto believers, huh? Cool. What are we doing today? Bitclout? Sure. I'll shield the crap out of it. Where are we doing it? Nah, man, I was there. I saw it firsthand. I don't believe that for a second. So these are the kinds of people, talking about character study, these are the kinds of people that got into building Terra Labs, UST, Luna, all this circular system that eventually, with the incorrect gravity, pulled downward, right, instead of building up. So, yeah, we kept the receipt, guys. We see you. We know what's going on here. So, GPU mining profitability. Here's a quick shout out to the question from before. We're going to do this wrap up pretty quickly here, guys. It's a very long live stream, and I appreciate you being here with me. Thanks for smashing like. Thanks for sharing this while we're live. Thank you for being subscribed and clicking the bell icon for notifications. I know, we talk about the clicks a lot. They're important. They matter, especially since we're going into bear market conditions, especially since we have a lot of red candle days. I want to talk to Big Piggy again and Charlie from Raptorium. I want to talk to Daniel Keller from Flux Network. I want to talk to, I want to bring in some of the IBC people on too. Greg O'Surrey from Akash Network. I'm going to be on stage with him in Austin, Texas, the beginning of next month. Guys, I want to talk to the builders. It's time to talk to the builders. It's not really, I don't want to be too focused on or worried about people who are seeing what they've built collapse because it wasn't built well. I want to talk to the people who are building something real, right? We're going to be doing that soon. So really appreciate that, guys. We're not going anywhere at Mind Your Biz. Not going anywhere. We didn't last time. We're not just going to be propped up by like, oh, cool, mining profits are high, so I can buy GPUs. Like, hey, much love and respect to the group that is able to do that. But I chose not to build in that direction because I didn't view that as the right move for me. We're going to keep talking to builders. That's what matters for us here. So, yeah, with current mining profits, guys, they're in the dumps. There's no two ways about it. Daily profit is pretty bad on an RTX 3090 Ti. I would not buy one for the purpose of mining, but I've been telling you that for weeks. So many, many weeks. But yeah, for workstation use, sure, maybe. Prices are coming down. Bottom of the list, we are definitely in the red. That's not new either. Some of the coins that are still profitable to mine will be Ethereum. It's going to be top of the stack for a long time. You see that that price difference is pretty high for the most part. Got Zero pretty high in its daily profits right now. Ergo a little bit higher, but not going to be sustainable, I don't think, over the course of a week or a couple of weeks. It's going to be Ethereum this time next week and this time next month that still has any profit left at all on some of these. So Ravenboy Crypto saying, you come to Texas? Sweet. Might stop by and say hi. Yeah, guys, I will be in Texas. I'll be in Austin, Texas. I've got a link at the top of the description for this video for the Decentral Austin. I realize that Austin isn't even really Texas. If you're from Texas, Austin is Austin. It's not Texas. I get that. But I appreciate if you're in the area, do come through. I don't know if I can get any additional tickets. Let me check to see what the group that's organizing my speaking engagement there. See if I can. Maybe I can do a giveaway. Because, these events are not free. They're not free. But yeah, maybe able to do a giveaway there. Let me just check with them to see what's going on there. You can definitely get 30% off, though, if you're interested in going and supporting the event financially. You can get 30% off by using the code MineYourBiz2020. 22. So you guys can visit me there, and yeah, we'll be. I don't know exactly where we're going to be, but it's somewhere off. Yes, I do know. It's that giant courtyard place. I mean, it's like South Congress, right? Pretty close to South Congress. Anyway, great place for lunch. Great place to just hang. Not too weird. You're not fully South Austin. If you know Austin, it's not the weirdest part, but it's fun. It's a really fun little spot. So even if you're not at the conference, let me know. We will hang. We will have fun. I promise you that. So yeah, that's happening. Look for that link in the description, guys. So yeah. GPU mining profits, they are still there, but they're holding on for dear life, and it looks like we need to see a reversal for that to improve. Everything's pretty much down, guys. Bitcoin is dragging the market down. That's just how it is. Let's go through these portfolios real fast before I let you go. But portfolios don't look great, right? 7-day is rough for a lot of things. Gemlink looks like it's up, like, okay. I don't know how. Market cap is too small for that to be significant, though. Because, again, market cap is not the most important thing. Real liquidity is, right? Like, if you've got price impact of, like, 10% by you selling whatever it is you're gonna sell, you're strangling the goose that lays the golden eggs. You can't continue that, right? So you got to know what your real liquidity is. Otherwise, and liquidity and volume. Otherwise, you can't really work with that. So I wouldn't even take that seriously. Safecoin only down 11.5%. Shout out to Jeff and the team over there. Looks like they are holding on since they rebased to the Solana code base. They've done actually quite well. They've made some modifications that have helped them perform better with their validator set than Solana has, which I'm not shocked by. Jeff's a great builder. He's a very thoughtful architect. So hopefully they're doing all right. Hopefully, guys, keep that price up. We need safe trade to exist. We need you guys to keep making low/no KYC options for exchanges. So don't give up, please. Keep fighting. But yeah, everything else is pretty much down double digits. Flux took a big hit this week, though, down to 63 cents, which, if you believe in the mission and vision of Flux, is good news for you. It means you can acquire one of their nodes at a really steep discount and then maybe set up a low power node on like a Raspberry Pi or something. So, yeah, mixed news. Good news, bad news. Hard drive mining, yeah. East Tot, it's, yeah, goner. It's a goner. Right there, Chia. Doing $40.12. Maybe the poor investor is going to get his wish. Maybe he will get $15 Chia really, really soon, sooner than later. Market cap still above $100 million, though, and we know that they've pocketed their VC raise and put that into a treasury, so they're going to keep building. That's why I'm actually looking at that project. Seems crazy, but I am. Filecoin still doing what it's doing. IPFS is an important thing to keep running, so we want to see them running and in operation. Signum, I don't know. We might be nearing the end of active development for Signum for a while. Maybe. Yeah, if that goes too low. The Deadwood is asking, what do the nodes run for Flux? And I think the collateral for the nodes on Flux is somewhere around 2,000. Let me just double check here. Nope, come here. We've got an old tool we used to use back in the day, still running, called Masternodes Online, masternodes.online. And we can, here, yep, Fira nodes are running there. Pretty cool tool. We're gonna, maybe in lieu of going through all of our portfolios, I've got just enough time to show you quickly how to use this tool, then I got to jump right off. But Ravenboy Crypto is saying 1,000, I believe, for the lowest tier. So I can do some filtering here. See that? And I can put a volume filter in here, so I know I'm not going to do any kind of weird, harsh movement of the market by selling off my collateral if I had to, right? So minimum volume, I'm just going to say 50K, right? Roughly 50K. Minimum market cap, I'm going to say 5 million. And that's pretty much going to filter out all the riffraff. See that? Now the only results left are these sort of blue chip masternode coins or service node coins. Now, Loki, there you go. Oxen keeps high quality projects like Oxen, like Flux, like Divi Project, PivX, and Firo. So some of the best, they're still there. And now we can filter according to ROI. And this is just kind of yearly It's really more, yearly yield or whatever. Dash Diamond, Bonte Coin, I don't know these very well. I don't know them. PNE as well. And then Beldex, I don't know what the use case is for any of these projects. Same with Sapphire. It could be entirely hype-based projects, so I don't know that I believe that. Oxen, this is kind of the dividing line where for me, it's like I recognize the project. I've interviewed the founders. I know what their mission is. I know what they're building. And it's about 16% yield every year. That's, of course, going to be subject to some other things, right? So yeah, but it also tells you, the collateral required and the dollar value here. So I can click the expand button. That's going to show me all the different tiers. See the Cumulus right there. It's actually a much higher yield at 18%. And come on, I clicked it shut. But it's also going to show me the collateral needed, and it's going to show me the current price. So yeah, at 60 cents, that's a steal, man. I'm not like telling anybody you should go out and drop $600 on one of these, but the yield is pretty good. And if you see a price that you feel good about, then consider it, I guess. It's a quality project that is building towards something real, like a real use case. So that's the discount. And then throw it on to a $100 little micro node, single board computer, you're off to the races. I think you can run it on that. Don't quote me, right? We got to talk to somebody who's an expert in the space. But you can see the same for all the rest, right? The Stratus tier for them, ironically, lower APR for the higher collateral. So if you literally, if you felt like, it's silly, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't want to set it up. If you felt like setting up 40 of these nodes by running I don't know, setting up like 40 VMs on a single server machine that you have, 40 VMs with enough storage to make it run. I don't know how you get that performance to actually go through your network correctly, how you configure that, but if you wanted to go full crazy, 0 to crazy, can't say the R word, but if you wanted to go fully crazy, you could do that. Get 40 of those for the same amount of collateral and then double your yield annually. So, yeah. Just weird. Just weird. This is the problem with masternodes too, and the different payout schemes that they have. Is that sometimes it's like, oh, you guys thought that would be super cool incentive, but it's actually not. Ouch. Divi has some really good opportunities there too, and they expand as well when you look at that. So their nodes are very expensive now, apparently. Their highest yielding nodes are very expensive, but opportunities there, guys. I don't know if it's the right time to look at that. I don't want to do something irresponsible by saying, hey, you should definitely consider getting into some kind of staking or masternode hosting. Just saying. Infrastructure is a tricky play. You got fixed costs. You got the hardware as well. And then you also have the collateral, which you can ride down to 0. Right, that can happen. As much as I adore the leadership of a lot of the projects that you guys hear me talk about a lot, some of these projects don't pass what I call the bus test, meaning that if, heaven forbid, right, if Big Piggy got hit by a bus and bruised his pinky toe, he couldn't work, right? He couldn't work on the project, and it might stop developing the way it should. The same could be true of some of these other projects as well. So that's a risk factor. It's always a risk factor. So anyway, Ravenboy Crypto saying, got to basically be a sysadmin for Flux, LOL. Yeah, that's the other problem with infrastructure, is that if you're not up to the task of having to remote shell in to fix certain problems and having to physically fix other problems that may be a physical problem for systems administration, or for integrated systems, right, management, then it might not be for you. If you're not somebody who loves living in the Linux terminal or getting your hands dirty with fixing computer hardware, then it might not be for you. But if that is something you do on a regular basis, like a lot of the GPU mining community, then maybe it does make more sense for you, right? But for everybody else, if you're just marginally technical and you're like, yeah, I don't want to fix computers all day, then you might have a real headache trying to contribute. So just throwing it out there. Paul is also saying you might have a hard time cashing out masternode collateral if things go sideways. Yeah, that's what I was mentioning before. We put these filters in place here with the market cap and the volume to make sure that we actually we can see that we won't move markets by just dumping that amount of collateral, right? So we can put that filter as well. If we know we've put $600 of collateral, but the daily volume is $50,000 denominated in USD, we're probably safe. We're probably going to do the right thing by that network. If we did even just have to market dump by and not dumping in market moving amounts. So use this tool, guys. It's actually very, very helpful. Let me put it into our live stream chat. There we go. So, yeah, and Bash is not impossible to learn. Ravenboy Crypto's bringing up some of the tools to trade. Bash isn't impossible to learn. It's not impossible to learn how to set up virtual machines. It's not impossible to follow along at like Vultr or Linode or DigitalOcean, or to set up your own computer, right? And get whatever local educational surplus, right? It's totally possible to find great deals on the infrastructure, but then it is going to cost you your time, right? So factor that into the ROI as well, right? Like if your yield over a year is, let's see, $600 potentially yielding 18% over a year, is that really worth 2 days of your time? It is if the project, moons again, right? It goes back over $2 again, or does like when we get a leg up, whatever, give you this awesome exit event. But if it doesn't, you're going to have to chalk it up to tuition for learning, right? So all those things to consider. Guys, we've gone over so much today, and I really appreciate you being here with me live. Thanks for telling me in the survey that I should go live instead of just pre-recording some stuff about today's events. There's a lot going on. Let me just reiterate. We covered a lot of negative things today. Let me share with you a couple of things that I think will be helpful. And I may have mentioned it before. First off, my DMs are open. Why? Because I might not know you super personally, but I think the world is better for you being in it. And I'm not trying to get hippy-dippy or weird, but I mean that. That's real talk. The world is better for you being in it. If you feel really strongly about these markets and the negativity is getting to you, please reach out. Don't be alone. If nobody in your life is available, there's not anybody to talk to. If you feel like there's nobody to talk to, I'm here to tell you you're wrong. My DMs are open. I know you can talk to me. So you got to know. You can talk to me. Okay? You can reach out if you need to. Okay, things are going to be tight. They're going to be strange times, interesting times. Don't be alone if you're feeling really intensely, okay? You can reach out. I'll make time for you. You matter. Okay? All the other stuff, in 100 years, we're not going to care anyway. But you matter. I think the world's better for you being in it. Reach out if you need to, guys. Appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Appreciate your support of me over the years. Really. You guys have sustained me in a lot of ways, too. So I'm just giving back. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching to the end. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Remember to check out mineyour.biz, where you can sign up for Mine Your Biz Insiders, our occasional newsletter where we don't spam you, but we do send out occasional important information, including flash sales and important deals on privacy-preserving technology. This is one of the ways that we can talk to you without censorship and without the oversight of third-party media platforms. You can also check out the new Mine Your Biz phone, as well as merch or sign up to become an affiliate for anything sold directly on the mineyour.biz website. You can earn a percentage of anything that we sell. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz.